Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine, talking about criminal justice reform. We have Khadija Babb with us. She is a former assistant district attorney with Davidson County. She worked in juvenile court. We kind of set the table in the first half for this debate that's so important about juvenile justice reform. Now we have a few callers. Let's just bring them in. Let's go to Ricky. Hello, Ricky. Are you there, Ricky?
Yes.
Good, Ricky. I'm glad you're there. Go right ahead. What is on your mind?
Yeah, there was somebody told me something one time, and he said, you raise your kids, you can spoil your grandkids. You spoil your kids, you're going to raise your grandkids. Long story short, I think parents need to step up to the bat. I believe it's the phones is raising the kids. And, you know, I've got a nephew that's been given every opportunity. My mom raised him, or pretty much raised him, had good clothes, had, you know, good cars and all that, and he's in trouble now. He's been in trouble, and they've got a warrant out for him. All I can say to him is you're going to suck it up, buttercup, and you're going to do your time. I don't believe in, you know, if you've been in trouble a bunch, it's time to, you know, pay the piper, as they say. And there's some people that you can help, and, you know, they get in trouble, and you can help them out, and they'll make a good life for themselves. There's some people that, you know, they going to have to bite the bullet and see a little time. And I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care and have a good night.
Well, Ricky, I appreciate you, Ricky, and that. So he's going right to the parenting. And I appreciate that call. I'm sure Ricky's not the only person who feels that way. What did you see when you were there, for the time that you were there working in juvenile court? What about the parenting? What needs to be done about it?
Okay, so what I would say is I think majority of the youth that come into our system, there is going to be some issue at home. It was very, very rare that I saw a youth in a two-parent home that was stable. As far as the parent, is unfortunately not something that I think that the criminal justice system can fix alone. We're talking about housing insecurity, poverty, child care assistance. I mean, you have a single mother who has multiple children, and she's trying to do it alone. And then also you have you know, they're growing up maybe in an environment, in an affordable housing environment, where there's possibly high crime rate or opportunity. So I think that as a community and as a society, we have to recognize that the criminal justice system, I mean, something that my team lead used to say, Stacey Miller at Juvenile Court, is that we are the caboose. There are all these things that have happened along the way that make up the train, and we are the caboose. We're at the end, and we can't stop it. You know, so we need to, as a society, figure out like how we can help parents before it gets to this point. So that's absolutely true, that parents need more assistance. And also parents have to do better too, because sometimes, you know, I would ask a question and I would be surprised about the answer. You know, a parent maybe not knowing where their child was, and so and obviously I understand that things going on in the home, but I agree that the parenting issue is definitely affecting our youth.
Before I go to the next caller, so let's say someone's watching. Let's say, you know, maybe they're part of a big church and they want to help. They don't know how to help. I mean, you will say something. You said something earlier. Well, we need more resources for parents. That's generic. What realistically could someone or some group of people do to really help? What you were there, like, you know, every day, what realistically could be done? What's something we could do that would truly make a difference? And what would you encourage people to do?
So the number one thing that I would say is mentorship, especially for our young Black men. We have to step up as a community and start to mentor these young men, especially if they're growing up in single parent households. Moms are great. We are nurturers. I am a mom, but there is something about a male figure that is going to be more impactful on a young man. And I think that is one place to start. So in churches, if you do see a single mother, if you start to build a relationship with the youth. I think a lot of times, in my experience at juvenile court, I had conversations with youth, and a lot of times they feel overlooked. We don't ask them what they need. We don't ask them what their experiences have been. We just talk at them instead of listening sometimes. So if you see a youth, one example, my mom, she lives on like a cul-de-sac. And if youth walk past her house, she's going to stop and talk to them. She's going to give them some candy. She's going to give them some cake. She's going to ask how they're doing. They get off the bus. We have to start doing those things. And the old adage that it takes a village to raise a child is so true. So we have to start being more involved and asking questions and realizing that it's not just about, us. And I think adults, we go on about our lives and we have a lot going on. But if you have the capacity to mentor a child, that one small thing can make a difference, a huge difference.
Very good. All right, let's go to Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, good evening, Ben, and hello, good evening to your the attorney as well. I'm going to take this from a different angle. What I see as being a person over in my middle age, I'm seeing a change in demographics as a native Nashvilleian, and not just here, but every other major metropolitan area, where the urban core is changing racially, the demographics. And you got a lot of people of these kids who, had grandmothers, the mothers had their parents that lived in these neighborhoods and now have become gentrified. And they're seeing a group of people moving in, not all at all, but basically they're seeing some people, because I experienced it myself. I live over by Sevier Park, where people are just not friendly when they see somebody of color. I could be in my jogging suit, wearing the same athletic wear as anybody else, but I can still see that undertone of why you here. And I was been over here since 1965. That's why I'm here. I'm one of the few that is still left. Haven't been pushed out yet. I'm still able to still pay these enormous property taxes. So I think these kids are seeing that they don't feel welcome. It's like you don't like me. You don't want me here. And kids are smart. They pick up on this. Also, I feel like an idle mind and body is the devil's workshop. So if you have social programs that have been cut ever since Ronald Reagan was in office, and I think that's why a lot of conservatives like him, and that's in a weird way, because you've left kids out here where boys and girls clubs have been shut down, YMCAs have been shut down, where you could go swim and you have somebody, a coach to mentor to you. I think that plays a strong role as well. But that's just my point. I just like to.
You're talking about race, bottom line, right, Mike? You're talking about race. Huh? You're talking about race.
Yeah, right. Right. And they see these upward mobility people moving in, where the mother. That's where your grandfather used to live, and that's where Miss May used to live right there. And I would go over there, and I stay over there until Mom got off from work, and she'd make cookies for us. But now they seeing people moving up and seem to be doing well. And then these people, when they walking out, still the people are still here that were traditionally here, they're kids, and they see these people not saying hello or grabbing their purse closer or whatever. They pick up on that. And when people feel like they're not welcome in a situation where their mother and parents and grandparents grew up, and they don't have other options, as positive options to embrace, I think this is a perfect recipe for what we're seeing. And also, lock your doors, please, and keep personal expensive items out of sight at least, and that'll help a lot too. Okay. And I'll hang up and listen to the response. Thank you.
Mike, thanks for the call. Demographics changing in the urban core, gentrification, people not feeling welcome, race. What about everything Mike just said?
Everything Mike just said is true. In addition to that, I want to talk about not just gentrification as far as people moving in, but the way that Nashville is changing. And then our youth, literally just thinking about the fact that some of our youth come into the detention center, which is right next to the Titans Stadium, and never been to a Titans game. So it's and like Mike said, our youth are smart. They see what's going on, and they feel like everything around us is changing. Our city is changing. Things are booming, and yet look where I'm having to live, and look what I'm lacking resources for. A lot of our youth sometimes, come home from school and maybe their lights aren't on. I don't even understand how you expect a kid to perform well in school if they don't have lights and water and clothing. So Mike, in my opinion, he definitely hit the nail on the head. That definitely has something to do with it. They don't feel a part of Nashville anymore. And I understand. It's, we have to put more resources into our youth and show them that we still love them and we still care.
How do we do that? Where does that money go? How can we turn that around?
So I definitely think we need to figure out, for one, affordable housing. Also, our education system, whether it's after-school programs, tutoring programs. We have to open up our community centers. We have to give the kids something to do on the weekends. And it has to be free, because quite honestly, a lot of our young people, they can't afford maybe to go to the zoo, or things that actually cost money. Maybe their parents can't afford to take them. So we have to think of creative ways that are low cost or free for some of our youth to participate in. More AA, and one thing that I will say that MMPD is doing right now, I used to be a part of the Police Athletic League, and I think they're calling it the Police Activities League now. But I used to run track on every Saturday morning at Pearl Cone. They cut that out. So we need to give them more activities, which now is the Police Activities League. And I don't know the exact schedule of when, if they've rolled that out or things like that. But we have to get our youth involved. And I also see, when I was working at juvenile court, there are a lot of programs and resources in Nashville, but there seems to be a disconnect. Like, there's no one place you can go and figure out like what nonprofit organizations do what for our kids. I started to compile a list for that, but there needs to be somewhere people can go and sit, and even if it's just a website that lists all of the activities and the schedule and free things that our kids can do, because there seems to be a disconnect with all of these resources. And they're not getting to the kids. The kids aren't being able to participate in those resources. We're
going to go to break, then I'm going to take a call from Barry. Have social programs been cut? Did we used to have a bunch, now we don't? And how long ago was it? He mentioned Ronald Reagan. That's going way far back. But, let's say in the last 5 years, have social programs been cut, or the pandemic stuff, people just weren't attending, or they haven't been cut? Or what are you seeing when someone says social programs have been cut? Explain that statement.
Well, for me personally, like I said, when I was with PAL, the Police Athletic League, that was in 2000. So I'm not sure. I went off to college and then I came back home, and when I came back, it was gone. And that program introduced me to track. I didn't even know I was fast and I could run, and I started, so that's the first thing. So from what I can see, PAL hasn't been here in 20 years, or I haven't participated in it. So to me, it's been a long time, and we have to start doing more. It seems like it's become incumbent on the nonprofits to get the work done, but we as a government, or not me specifically, but just as a government, as a city, we need to start showing the youth that we care and putting more into social programs. And for one, the community centers, like, that's a small place to start. Figuring out how we can get people, even if it's just volunteers, that say, hey, I want to volunteer during this time so we can keep the community center open. It's just absolutely ridiculous that community centers aren't open on Sundays and Saturday evenings.
All right, we're going to take a break. We have a few calls here. Barry, others, hold on the line. We will take a break. Be back right after this.